Alright, hello everyone, welcome to yet another replay review. This one will be for a friend of the show, Noisy, who I will not say his full name. I think we've all agreed on that one. And we're going to get into it. This is a Pudge game. Fortunately, he sent me another one so I can actually click on Heroes, God bless. And let's talk a little bit about the Pudge pick. So, we're all seeing tons of Pudge in our games. It's pervasive across all MMRs, really. You see him all the way up at 6K, you see him all the way down at 1K. So, that is a valuable here to look at. And I used to not play a lot of Pudge just out of rebellion for the many Pudge lovers, but he's honestly like legitimately one of the best fours right now in my opinion. And I think in the opinion of most players. He is honestly just a really, really good hero. And again, like I mean I hate saying that fundamentally speaking, but it's undeniable that Pudge is a legitimately good hero. His ability to displace people, he has a BKB piercing disable. You can buy Windlace now at start, which means that it mitigates for the fact that he has terrible movement speed. Rot is an incredible slow. Slows are better at the early game. He can dominate, he can roam, he can lane support even if you just run at people with Rot. He is a godly hero. So, this should be fun. Let's talk about team comps a little. Well, actually, we don't need to pause it. The enemy team, so they have a pretty all-in Alk draft, right? If we look at this, they have Alk, Jug as their cores, and they have a Magnus in the off lane, and then they're going to have a roaming Mirana. So basically their game plan is they're going to get team fight and such from Magnus, then they're going to have the Alchemist doing that utility build, not necessarily the fighting build, and Jug will do a standard Jug build. So that way they will have a solid base of damage coming out from Juggernaut, Alchemist doing Alchemist things, split pushing, scaling into a serious damage hero, and just generally being a menace. And then, of course, they'll have a Magnus giving empower to both of them. And Mirana can compensate for the fact that the Alchemist is not necessarily the strongest laner super early until you have a couple points in Acid Spray. So Mirana should compensate for his weaknesses in the mid lane with a couple nice arrows, and the threat of arrows is nice, similar to the threat of Pudge hooks. It appears as though we're going to start off lane, like looking at our team comp. This is actually a pretty decent Pudge game. You have a bunch of evasive heroes that are annoying and hard to kill. I actually didn't look at the results of this game, so I don't know who wins. But the Pudge off lane, so a lot of times what we'll see people do, like Gareth made a really good video about Black's Pudge, and what he does is he just waits to get level 2 in lane before roaming. So hopefully we'll see this coming out from the off lane. I think that's absolutely the play. Is just, you get Rod at level 1, or I suppose you could get Hook at level 1, but you get level 2 and then you have your full capability, because without one or the other, you kind of suck. Like, have you ever been ganked by a Pudge with no mana? you just a whole lot of nothing happens. So, yes. So we're going to get 2 in lane, and then, honestly, we could stay in lane. Like, this lane is a fine lane to get XP in, but if you stay in lane, you don't get the full benefit of Pudge, basically. Like, he is a roaming hero for a reason. And while your personal game might be a little better, if you don't roam early, his game overall needs him, or his team needs him to roam to be a real Pudge. Similar to Spirit Breaker. Like, Spearbreaker as an offlaner is pretty tanky. He can honestly just sit in the offlane and get a lot of XP and live, but that's not doing Spearbreaker things, right? Spearbreaker needs to be rotating. You need to have all that extra rotational force, basically, to win your mid lane, to threaten your top lane, etc., etc. Especially when you have a mid like an Alchemist or like a Shadow Fiend. Both of these heroes kind of need some babysitting, in the sense that they need to have a really good first few waves to set them up for a good game. And if they have a really bad first while, then they can really be screwed. Like, this is relatively even, but SF is already a little behind. He's gonna have to use this shrine, and the Alchemist is off to a great start. So that's something to be concerned with, and that's something that you can prevent if you rotate. Like, an Alchemist at low levels is relatively easy to kill. Like, he has 2 points Shadow Raise, he has 800 health. I think this is a reasonable kill to get. Okay, a good split up from the, what's called, spin. So we're level 2. Again, like, we should just be able to kill this Witch Doctor. Jug doesn't have boots yet, so if he spins on you, you could just outrun him. He's gonna have boots now, though. Like, really the strength of Pudge is just your ability to just run face first at someone. Alright, that's good. I was going to say, Spirit Breaker should come in through here, and even if he dies... Okay, that's fine. He'll die, but we got First Blood, and you could just go Shrine up, honestly. Shrine with SF. And, I mean, Jug's not farming nearly as well. He's getting... actually, yeah, Weaver's way outlaning Juggernaut, just in general. And so that means you guys delaying and messing with his Juggernaut is a great play. I wouldn't like well let's see what Noisy does. Okay, he's just gonna shrine. I think shrining is the play. You really what we should have done is ooh boy, we should have shrined with the SF when SF was getting bottom rune. Um, but you know a shrine is a shrine regardless, and he got a kill, so that's good. All right, never mind about that like Weaver God stuff because he just died. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Pudge builds. I know we did a Pudge episode fairly recently, like maybe a couple months ago. But Pudge builds are important because there's a lot of different ones, and there's a lot of personal choice to it. So I think the most common one is you go Tranquils or Mana Boots, and then you get of course you start with a Windlace. And then you go in for Aether Lens, and Aether Lens is in every build, I will say. But some people rush it, whereas other people delay for a bit. Oh, that was close. Nice Pudge hook, by the way. This is one of the more expensive ones. I think it's like 28 bucks or something on the market right now. You should have a TP as well. Like having a TP on Pudge. Pudge is one of those heroes. Like if you have a TP, you are a radically different hero than you are without a TP. Ooh, oh boy, what a juke. So yeah, I mean that's just one of the okay, perfect. We picked up a TP right as I was about to say that. All right. Unfortunately, the Radiant has a ward here. A really good thing to do on Pudge is to. This is kind of like a higher level play, but one of the more annoying things, or one of the more impressive things that I see, is Pudge players will, if they're Radiant, they'll smoke, they'll like TP to this tower and run up and ward like right here, like all the way up in this little box that I'm putting out, or vice versa. You know, if you see tower range, you can put a ward like here. And it's a little harder to find than the typical ward that's here, which gets dewarded commonly. And it gives you incredible vision for Pudge hooks, or for Marana arrows, or for clockwork hooks. So that's something to think about. Our skill build's fine so far. I mean, obviously it's not rocket science, but the level 5 is generally the point where some people mess up. I know I've messed up many times where 3, all the good Pudge players, they do 3 meat hook, 2 rot, so hopefully that's what you do. It's very good that you are rotating to get the XP. It's like one of the big differences between a successful support and a failing support. That's like, oh, I'm so behind, I can't do anything. It's because you're not taking advantage of open lanes, and so for instance, this lane is currently open, and you can get a lot out of it if you just show up, basically, while the SF's not there, right? It's just free XP and free gold. So that was good. Now we're level 5, good. We're doing the proper build. We can... Okay. You're doing everything right as I'm about to say to do it. Getting a smoke is good. Ideally, like, you start with the smoke. You start with a ring of protection, which is nice. But I think in general, I'd rather start with, like, smoke and a mango or something, or smoking in a couple clarities. I do like Pudge versus Juggernaut in general. I also like Spearbreaker versus Juggernaut because A, you're tanky, so you can't just spin or Omni Slash you down. But B, the big thing is that you have a BKB piercing disable. This is actually a terrible Jug game, like an abysmal Jug game. Well, when I think of Jug games, I don't want to be in this one. I'll say that much. All right, good. All right, so we're trying to angle on something bottom. We have good levels on Ogre, good levels on Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker is about to be 6. Is Jug 6 yet? Jug's not 6. He should just be ulting Spirit Breaker right now. Or, yeah, he can. You guys could just get the easy kill. He came right here. That's funny. So you guys kind of blew everything a little early. It's not a huge deal, but it is obviously something to concern yourself about. Oh, sick. Okay. Well, he died anyway. It is an interesting bit of non-synergy between the Spear Breaker and the Pudge. I've never actually seen that interaction before. Okay. So things are going okay. Like you're pressuring their safe lane a ton. Your safe lane is not really pressured, other than that one death, which we weren't watching, so who knows how it happened. We probably got like hit under a tower or something. Or just got too aggressive and got shockwaved. So things are going fine. I mean, obviously, like you spent a lot of time in mid, and you did kind of off lane, which is nice because it's giving you a ton of levels that you wouldn't normally expect to have. But at the same time, a lot of times on Ogre, you just want to start roaming right at level 2. So you'll even roam at level 1, depending on the mid matchup. Oh boy. Oh, man, this SF's good at dodging arrows. Depending on the mid matchup, sometimes if they're like a melee hero, or like something that's really slow, like a Lina, let's say, or a melee hero like a Dragon Knight. I reckon that's probably a bad example. Ooh, close. You're not 6 yet. You're close. Um, you'll see people rotate at level 1 and just walk at a mid laner or an off laner or anything like that. We're getting a bit low on mana and low on HP, but we'll take this tower. Actually, they may deny this tower. Actually, no, we'll take it. We'll take it. This is good play from the SF. He's bullying properly. Okay. So what do we do here? Okay, so we're going Aether Lens, that's proper. The other builds that I see commonly, I mean, obviously I like Atos, but Atos is like, it's a weird item to buy, honestly. He should have charged out of that. That's very bad. Let's see. This is going to be a hard hooks if you can make them. A for effort, but not quite. That mid gank, you probably just should have gotten 6 somewhere, and then rotated, by the way. It's hard. If you're not 6, like if you're close to 6, a lot of times you'll benefit just from just waiting and just getting 6. I do like this strat though. This is smart. We have 2 people backing the SF that's at 36 souls and is doing a good deal of damage. Alright. And Alk is farming, but he's behind. I mean, he's not going armlet either, so he's doing well. This guy's Aki should be on. There's really no reason not to have it on. He's pushing the lane actively, right? You may as well have some extra armor for your creeps. Okay, let's see how this gank's gonna go. Okay, hook. Ooh, not quite. Oh, one of the other big things about Pudge, just to talk about, is when you are playing Pudge, similar to when you're playing like a hero like Batrider, you need to kind of stake out your initiations and say, okay, I'm going to be initiating on, in an ideal situation, of course, you have to have that stipulation. Oh, that was suicidal. You're gonna die here. You have to decide, okay, who can I kill? Who am I gonna kill? Who do I need to disable? Yada yada yada. So it's very valuable to just say, okay, who can I kill in this game? Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor is a super easy kill. You hook him and he's half dead already. Mirana, you can also kill pretty easily if you get a Dismember on her. Alchemist is a hard kill, but he's a high priority target for your ult. Juggernaut also, similarly. Hard kill, but a high priority target for your ult. Actually, it's not that hard of a kill, really. Like, if you have one other person with you, it's a very achievable kill. Okay. God, it's cold in my room. The other nice thing about Pudge is that he kind of requires so much investment that you can play a safe laner and just have them basically be left alone. Let's see, we do have Blink on Magnus. He's very alone, though. Like, that was a suicidal kill. Alright, nice, easy hook. Picking him up. Alright. Alright, good. Trying to angle. All right, perfect, easy. Now you're getting flesh heap stacks. Although obviously you haven't picked them up yet, but picked the skill up yet. But we're doing well. This is like a good Pudge game so far, basically. I mean, obviously we had like that rotation mid where we should have been level 6. Probably should have just taken a creep camp or whatever. We did spend a lot of time in bottom without ganking mid, but once we did go mid, that was good. Things are going well so far, like just in general. Like, you miss hooks, and that's kind of one of those things when you're reviewing a hero like Pudge. It's just like, okay, well, he missed his hooks, or maybe he didn't miss his hooks, and that's the game changes drastically depending on that. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like how we say, there's no point in saying like, oh, you missed that CS because that's not productive. Just like that, it's like hooking is very. I don't know if you play a ton of Pudge. I don't know if you play a ton of Pudge, but Pudge is very just like you gotta practice with your hooks. Sometimes you miss them, sometimes you don't. 1 second. Why do I have a message? Sorry, I think this was important. Okay, it was not important. Proud was just talking to me about movies. Thank you, Proud. Okay. All right. So Weaver's doing fine. I mean, he's. Yeah, yeah, this is fine. Oh, so close. Okay, where are we? Well, let's jump back a little bit. Okay, so we just farmed after that push, which is fine. I mean, so this is a good example. Um, what you're doing here is a great example of just playing efficient Dota, and it wasn't necessarily a perfect efficiency, kind of like how you just didn't didn't hit those creeps. Um, but when you are close to an item, it's important to know like, okay, my team is going to be aggressive, whatever. I would be better served going out and farming, getting my Aether Lens, and then moving on and pushing afterwards, rather than just right away saying, okay, let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going, and then maybe you die, and then you're far away from your Aether Lens, or you're far away from your Blink Dagger, or whatever. Man, Weaver, what a hero. God. Alright. So where are we going to rotate? I mean, we want to get some wards up. I mean, kind of the... we don't have it. Let's see. Can we check? I don't think we can see how many wards are left on anybody's team. But the thing we're lacking right now is vision, right? Our whole... I don't want to say our whole game we've been lacking vision, because honestly I don't remember too much. But we're lacking vision quite a bit. I imagine you guys have at least 2 wards in stock. At least 2, probably 4, by the looks of it. Pudge is like, I mean, obviously, this is such generic information, but Pudge is so vision reliant that you really want to practice placing aggressive wards. So while you guys rosh, I'm going to just talk about that. So for instance, we talk about this mid ward, which would help a lot. When you're when you're Dire aggressing into Radiant or Radiant defending against Dire, this ward spot is very obvious, but very good. If this ward spot is getting dewarded and stuff, I like warding right here or right over here, especially if you're like in either pressuring or defending this tier 2. The other nice pressuring one is if you're pressuring this tier 2 and you're going to have an actual fight. You don't want to waste this ward necessarily if you think they're going to leave it alone, because it's a pretty useless ward in a lot of situations otherwise. But you want to place a ward here. Right now, we're just getting Roche. That's a fair trade, 2 for Roche. I mean, it seems as though... I don't want to say anything about that, actually, because I don't know. This is the most oh, no, this is fine. I wasn't looking at... what's his name? Oh, okay. Gee, alright. So you're doing fine. I mean, positioning-wise, you always want to either be the one initiating, or if you're not the one initiating, then you want to be super far back. I don't know why you did that. That was weird. That made no sense. Unless this guy's just a jerk, and then in which case I believe in your judgment. Okay. All right. How? I know this game isn't super long, just because the file size was small. Oh, he's dead. He has Aegis though. We want to orient, so this is a good example. He's gonna die right here. Just get ready, get a hook ready, and then save that boy. Okay, and you're idiot. Okay, this young man is not the brightest tool in the shed, so to speak. This is good positioning. Keeping down here. You need to leave, obviously. Things are not going great. Again, like, so you're a little on their side, and you're not going to be able to accomplish much. What you want to do, okay, so this is a good angling hook. When you're angled over here is obviously much different than when you're angled over here, right? You want to keep a nice fine line between being too close and... Oh, nice. That was cool. Between being too close to the fight, in which case they can both react to you when you get a hook very quickly, and also you're putting yourself in the danger zone. So when you're standing over here, this was good because the fight was positioned up here, and it's hard for them to get to you directly because you had teammates right over here. But if you're positioned over here and the fight's heading down towards here, and man, I really wish I could draw on replays. If you're heading down towards this way and like your team is spreading out over here, that means it's very easy for you to get a hook here, let's say, and then they're just going to kill you because they're already coming out of this little choke point, and they can just take a right instead of taking a left, and they can react to you quickly. That's why, like, when you see successful pudges, like, one of the best hook spots is just hooking either somebody down while you're sieging high ground from, like, here to here, or hooking somebody up from, like, here to here. Because they have to commit a ton, and they have to get out of their comfort zone. So if you are defending, hooking somebody who's here, and you bring them up to your high ground, they either have to blink or otherwise use some other mobility skill to get up into your high ground by your tower, get out of their comfort zone in the freedom of, not tower range, obviously, where they have vision, let's say, and so you're going to put them off kilter. Or the alternative is if they're defending high ground and you hook them down, that means, their team's going to be standing back here. They're thinking, oh, let's get hooked. So when you do get somebody hooked, their whole team has to react. They have to get out of their comfort zone. They can no longer do the easy thing of defending. They have to do the hard thing of taking a fight. So that positioning is huge on Pudge, and generally your positioning has been good, but you want to be proactive with your positioning rather than reactionary. And so, like, you getting this hook here probably would have been better off if you got the hook over here, because you could have been walking in that time where you were trying to line up a hook and position yourself in a bit more of an advantageous position. Alright. Alchemist DC'd. Oh, almost got that hook. This, see, this is, okay, let's watch what you do here. Good. Alright. We know he's going to ult because he just did that. Mara's going to pause. Can't blame her there. Teammate DC'd. Okay. It's a fine trade, though. You died for it, but that's just, I'll take that trade any day. That's for certain. An alternative to that would have been, instead of to run up, he obviously has to run this way, right? Because you have teammates flooding in, and the only real play he has is to either run up to you in Omni Slash and try to kill you, or to try to run away. But if he tries to run away, you have the ability to hook him, obviously. If you hook him, if you just run up and dismember, we saw our teammates did not get there quick enough, right? So Weaver was all the way back here when we hooked him. I mean, when we dismembered. SF was over here, walking over there, because I think he was expecting Jug to run further. So I think the play, also, I mean, you didn't get the free 360 pure damage. So what you want to do is you want to let him run and lead him and then hook him backwards, and then you do your full thing. That way you have the damage from hook, you have the ability for your teammates to get in better positions and all that. And we know that their team can't position and like really beat you because they don't have any nearby towers. If they TP to this, A, it's going to take too long. B, they're going to run into your Weaver and your heroes and have to fight them in a disadvantageous position. So altogether, very good. Also, we can see our warding is much better. Whose wards are these? We can't see. I think they're ogres. Whoever's wards they are, they're an improvement. Okay, a good hook. Again, we're talking about the people that we can easily kill. You got your marks, basically. I hope this guy comes back. I mean, this game was pretty handily won after the laning phase, honestly speaking. But still, you know, it's an alchemist game. He could come back. Okay, see, this is like, oh boy, that's a nice RP. Okay, he blinked right back in. That's okay though. Okay, so teammates are dying, but you're winning the game, so that's fine. I like the blink pickup next. I think it's a nice aggressive pickup. The other alternative would be Force Staff or Yule's Scepter. I don't know if you've played this before, but Yule's Scepter Pudge is really good because you can hook somebody that's Yule's and it takes them out of Yule's. So like for instance, you could, like if we were to pause this fight, you could just Yule's this guy and then you could hook him whenever. Like you don't have to wait for the Yule's to drop him down. You just have to. Is this guy actually getting? Okay, I was gonna say that's like the most obvious arrow. You don't have to wait for them to fall down from the Yules. You can literally just Yules them, and like you could do it the second you Yules them if you wanted to get that extra 50 damage. It's way good. It's way good. So that's one thing I like to do. Aghanims is also a very good, solid pickup. I mean, his Aghanims is an incredible Aghanims, one of the better ones in the game. Both just for the ability to instill the kind of sense of panic in the enemy of them being like, oh, okay, all right, he's going to be able to hook me every 4 seconds. Like, it's such a ridiculous number. And also just the damage, like 360 damage, and on top of that, the chances. But it's a lot of damage, it's a lot of utility, it's just a lot of things. Okay, so continuing, let's see. Yeah, so all in all, we're doing well. I think, obviously, the warding was a bit of an issue. We took a few fights in the jungle, but, you know, such is life. We could have smoked mid earlier, but, again, like, these are nitpicking kind of things. Overall, the course of the game has gone well. I want to see. I don't know what MMR. Okay, so this is like a... okay, so this is like probably a 4K game. Más o menos. Yeah, so this is more or less what I expect from 4K. Like, the team that won the laning phase wins the game. That's just how... If I had to make like a very bold, glaring statement, that's how I would say 4K is. 4K is a very laning stage dependent game, and it's harder to come back because people don't have that capability as of yet. That's too bad. Also, these picks are very 4K. Alchemist is a very like 4K me mid pick. SF as well. Weaver is a solid pick coming up on this area. Okay, let's see. We're gonna get the hook. Oh, beautiful. All right. Nice hooks all around. We also need vision. And the supporting from the raiding team is not great, and that's another common thing in 4K, and that's one of the reasons why I think I climb so easily as support, and I've seen other people do that as well. Is that if you have a good support in 4K, it wins games. I mean, support wins games in all brackets, of course, but in 4K, the games are so laning phase dependent that okay, this is good. Again, we're killing Weaver, the achievable goals. We did use Dismember, but that's okay. Okay, and Weaver, I meant Witch Doctor, not Weaver. I wouldn't stand in front of him. Oh, never mind, he already used Skewer, we're good. Yeah, 4K is a very laning phase dependent bracket, in my opinion. So, the supports from each team, I mean, you did fine, but you really were more of a roamer. The big thing is, like, this Witch Doctor just was not good. Like, he just did not know what to be doing. He clearly just, like, had to pick support because nobody else wanted to. And that's why it makes a huge difference if you have like competent supports versus some guy that's just like, oh, they picked mid, so I can't play mid, so I guess I gotta support. Okay, so we almost have our Aghanim Scepter. Honestly, over here I would just like Shrine. Like here's a sieging high ground, you just want to get the most amount of stats as quickly as possible. Like just go Shrine, drop your Aether Lens point booster, and it should give you almost full mana. Like we went all the way up to this shrine. Realistically speaking, like this shrine is not going to get used in this game. Like you've taken these two Raxes. If anything, they're going to push mid because they're going to be like, oh, we got to push mid. And then you can get this shrine, take this shrine. It's a bunch of unnecessary steps. Like you could be here sieging with them if you had not done that. And you should also, I mean, I guess you don't need to take that illusion. I guess I'm just greedier when I play support, or when I play anything. If it's like 30 minutes and like you're sieging, or any degree of minutes, and you're sieging high ground, it's totally acceptable to just like take a shrine yourself. Like honestly, it's not that integral to the success of the team at this point. Weaver has a rapier. Okay, it's one of these kind of games. Oh, is this an EU game? Alright, so you got your Ags coming. That's good. I cannot read Cyrillic, I'm sorry. I can't participate in the discourse. Alright, this is the classic Dota 1 play, honestly. Rapier and Aegis. Back when you could build Aegises, this was an every game thing. Alright. Yeah, Weaver should just be high grounding, honestly. Like, tank. Or, I mean, really, you guys could just push towers, but... I mean, obviously the game's not competitive at this point because they're just sitting AFK in base. But you could very easily just, like, you know, participate. I mean, just end the game. I know, but it's like what I do a lot, honestly, is where I'm like, oh boy, I want my end game stats. You're a terrible person. I just want you to know that. This is scumbag level stuff right here. If you're gonna fountain farm. The what's it called? A lot of times I'll just want to get stuff just for the sake of getting things and just be like, oh boy, I want to have like whatever item at the end of the game. And so I will delay and be like, okay, I'm going to walk back to base to get my butterfly, or I'm going to dive, or I'm going to go to this little area, and then you might get killed sometimes or whatever. Don't bother with that, just end games. And don't freaking fountain farm. You give a bad name to Dota players. All in all, though, this is a good game. I think we need, again, just to wrap it up for the sake of it, we need to have better aggressive wards when we're doing those mid-game pushes. Eventually we had them, but not early enough. The other thing is just very early game, you might want to get some more clarities ferried out because you were kind of low mana sometimes. But you want to have a smoke for mid. You want to kill mid pretty early. Mid was pressured very heavily, and he died once to SF, but I think you probably could have killed him one other time and really secured that lane for SF. And yeah, I mean, Pudge is like, it's hard to say like, oh boy, just hook people better, but that is your hooks are fine, but you missed a couple of easy ones. The other thing was like that jug kill bottom. Sometimes it's better to just lead somebody and then hook them than to run in and dismember. That's kind of like a hero to hero thing. Again, just to continue wrapping it up, I suppose the other big thing is just to identify which heroes you can kill really quickly, which heroes you can't kill really quickly, which heroes your abilities are necessary for. Like Witch Doctor was a menace in some of these fights. You got like triple person Maledicts, so if you can either start a fight or in the middle of a fight, hook him and kill him, or hook him and get him out of his ult, or anything like that, that's a much more achievable goal than hooking somebody like an Alchemist or dismembering an Alchemist in the middle of a fight. Like that's not going to do anything, right? Because they're just going to stun you because they have a whole bunch of stuns on their team. So think through those things, and altogether it was a very good game. Like just a nice solid game. Obviously there was the little asterisk of Alchemist being DC'd. Especially like if the SF is on your team or in your party, it's pretty easy to just like coordinate a gank on the middle lane. Anyway, good game to all, and and thanks for supporting us on Patreon, of course. Thanks for participating in Discord. You know, all the regular things, and hopefully this was educational. Goodbye.